Excellency, Chief Moshood Kashimao Abiola, GCFR. The theme of today's rally, securing the future of Nigeria through a new democratic people's constitution, is very apt. But before my remarks on the theme, I want to briefly tell you the story of my personal interactions with Chief MK Abiola in the last period leading to his tragic death on 7 July 1998. In early July 1994, just weeks after he was thrown into detention by the then Nigeria's dictator, General Sani Abacha, I came to Nigeria from London to see General Abacha, following media reports that Chief Abiola was being tortured in detention and had taken ill. Chief Abiola was known to have won what was universally described as Nigeria's freest and fairest presidential election. The election had been observed by international observers that included Lord George Robertson, a subsequent British government Minister for Defense and Secretary General of NATO, who had assured me of the freeness and fairness of the election. I therefore, as Commonwealth Secretary General, publicly criticized the annulment of that election by the then Nigeria's President, General Ibrahim Babangida. In my meeting with General Abacha, his first reaction to my request to visit Abiola in detention was no. He said to me, "You cannot visit a man who's been charged with treason against his country." But when I told him that I would feel obliged to tell the local and international media, who were bound to ask me after my meeting with Abacha if I had seen Chief Abiola, to tell them that I put the request to you and you said no. The inescapable conclusion after that would be that the media reports about the position and condition of Abiola in detention was true. I will leave for another day the story of how a commissioner of police escorted me from the Transcorp Hilton Hotel to the place where Abiola was being detained. In my meeting with Chief Abiola, I discussed and obtained his agreement to my proposal for resolving the national crisis at the time. And thereafter, I put the same proposal to the head of state, General Abacha, and he rejected it, and so continued to keep Abiola in detention. I met with Chief Abiola for the second time in detention at the beginning of July 1998. This time under relatively happier circumstances, with the permission of General Abdulsalami Abubakar, who had succeeded General Abacha as Nigeria's head of state in June 1998. Indeed, the last photograph taken by Chief MK Abiola alive was with me and the then number 2 to General Abdulsalami Abubakar, Admiral Mike Ahigwe. I was indescribably shocked when the head of state telephoned to inform me in London that Chief Abiola, with whom I had met only a few days earlier, and who He, the head of state, had told me was soon to be released, that he had died. May I, therefore, at this point, invite all of you to stand up and observe a 2-minute silence in memory of Chief M.K. Abiola. May his soul rest in peace. Amen. Please sit down. Let me now come to the theme of our rally today. I want to begin my remarks by affirming 2 undeniable basic facts with which I am sure that all our citizens would agree. First, our country, Nigeria, is a pluralistic country. That is, a country of groups of people with diverse culture, languages, and religions who had lived in their separate geographical areas for generations before the man-made amalgamation of the groups into one political entity called Nigeria. So the country, from its inception, has faced the challenge of how to manage its diversity. The second incontestable fact is that as of today, under our present constitution, the Nigerian project is clearly not working. As succinctly summed up by Ruben Abati in his article of last week in This Day, Nigerians, and I like to quote him here, are assailed by high cost of living, crude oil theft, food inflation, insecurity, corruption, divestments by multinational oil corporations, the flight of capital to other countries, the unabating spread of a culture of hate in the country, poor governance, and bad politics. End of quotation. The high hopes for the future that prevailed among the citizens, especially the youth, in the immediate years after independence, are no longer there. In those years, Nigerians traveled abroad to obtain education or to improve their skills. But now, many Nigerian youth and professionals seek opportunities to go abroad to pursue self-fulfillment. The increasingly popular word Japa did not exist in those halcyon days. I dare say that unless a bold and courageous remedial action is taken now to give the country a new constitution, the Nigerian project will continue to totter towards an eventual collapse. Like Nigeria, there are other pluralistic countries that have faced the challenge of how to manage their diversity. Some of such countries which failed to address their diversity have disintegrated. Yugoslavia broke into 8 independent states after over 100 years' existence as one country. Czechoslovakia separated into 2 countries after about 100 years of existence as one country. East Timor became a separate independent country after so many years of existence as part of Indonesia, and to come nearer home to Africa, Sudan broke into two independent states after about 3,000 years of existence as one country. But other pluralistic countries, which consciously and adequately addressed their diversity, have succeeded in remaining individual united countries. For example, Switzerland, with its unique constitution, Canada, and India, with their truly federal constitutions. In Nigeria, our founding fathers recognized the crucial importance of addressing the country's diversity, and so proceeded to negotiate and agree the 1960 and 1963 constitutions, which was a truly federal constitution. As a result, the country was more united and was progressing at a relatively greater pace of socioeconomic development until the military intervened in governance in January 1966 and eventually imposed on the country the 1999 Constitution, which, with the blatantly false claim that the Constitution was made by we, the people of Nigeria. The 1999 Constitution, even as amended, lacks the legitimacy that can only be conferred on a constitution democratically made by the people of Nigeria. We must therefore have a new legitimate constitution that will give us a different governance system that can tackle effectively the myriad challenges currently facing our country. In my view, the new constitution should involve fewer and more economically viable federating units. It should be made by a constituent assembly of persons to be democratically elected on non-political party basis. I would say of 3 persons each of the 36 existing states and 1 person of the Federal Capital Territory. Their deliberations should take into consideration the 1960 and 1963 constitutions, as well as the recommendations of the 2014 National Conference. Thereafter, the draft constitution produced by this Constituent Assembly should be submitted to a national referendum for approval. And in this way, we would have a legitimate Nigerian citizens' constitution. In conclusion, in order for our pluralistic country Nigeria to survive, I call on the presidency and the national and state assemblies to hearken to the plea of the patriots and others advocating a restructuring of our governance system. The plea for a bold step to give the country a new, democratically made Nigeria's People's Constitution. I thank you all.